Hey, and welcome back to Regeneration X, and what feels like an eternity here on Tardis Talk is we take a look at Doctor Who's latest spin-off, Class, which aired this past weekend. Of course, I'm not alone, I'm joined by fellow Regeneration X member Paul. So what were your first impressions on Class?
I was really impressed with it. I was hoping for a more grown-up adult show, and it totally delivered on that premise. Maybe even a little bit more than expected, because I didn't expect we'd be seeing people get skinned alive in the second episode. So it was nice and dark. It was felt a lot more grown-up than Doctor Who does. I really loved it. I think I'm absolutely going to love this show. What did you think?
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat. I think I wasn't expecting too much, especially with it being on BBC Three and they're kind of doing this like online service. I thought it might have been very throwaway, but I think they definitely hit right nail on the head. It was kind of that perfect combination of Sarah Jane Adventures, Doctor Who, and Torchwood. It wasn't too much of one of those. It was kind of like the perfect combination, and I'm like really excited to see where it goes.
I really am. Like, I think you mentioned it was a good mix of everything, because I thought maybe, like, especially the first episode, they'll try and not so much make a clone of Doctor Who, but try and make it as similar to the show as possible, just to kind of bring viewers into it. But I like the fact that it was a mixture of everything. And like I say, grown up is probably the word that I would go with. And with you mentioning online, I think because it's online, they kind of got away with a lot more things than they would on TV. Because I think a lot of it was way more gruesome than you would expect to see, like prime time, like on a tea time on a BBC. So I think being online, it seems to be a good thing for it.
Yeah, I think the gore took me a lot by surprise. Like, I was expecting a little bit, but then like when you've got like blood flying around, bits of like hunks of flesh in the second episode, definitely took me by surprise. And it was kind of like a welcome thing because we haven't seen things like Torchwood for a long time, and you don't really see it on Doctor Who. So it was definitely like a bonus, and it also had like the comedic value from like Doctor Who and possibly Sarah Jane, you could say. So like we say, it was a great mashup of everything we love about the Doctor Who universe.
It really was. I absolutely loved it. And like you just mentioned, Torchwood, it actually premiered 10 years to the day since Torchwood premiered. So I thought it was like a cool little Easter egg thing.
Definitely, Doctor Who was brilliant with like dates and things because I totally forgot. So when you said it kind of made it even more special. And whereas a lot of people are depressed because it doesn't look like Torchwood's coming back, at least you've got something new to celebrate.
Absolutely. And anything new, anything to tide you over until Doctor Who returns. Sign us up for it. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think we're definitely overdue some Doctor Who, so it's kind of tiding me over till Christmas.
Absolutely.
So that pretty much covers our initial thoughts. What did you make of the Coal Hill characters in Mrs. Quill and Charlie and Tanya and things?
I really like the cast. A lot of them were names that I think I'd never heard of aside from Miss Quill. And because of that, I was kind of a bit up in the air about what they were going to be like. But in a sense, I think that's worked out to be even better because those names not having any sort of prejudgments about how they are, I just kind of took them for the characters that they were actually playing. And I think that worked out a lot better. There's some characters that I really do like though, and some that I'm not as fussed on. But I think as time goes over, I'll kind of grow towards them characters. So Stan now, I would say straight away, Miss Quill really stands out. She's definitely my favourite.
Yeah.
I think I just really like her some kind of dry, dark sense of humour. I love that. There's so many cool moments. And it's kind of similar to Capaldi in that sense.
Yeah.
But then as the rest of them, I think Charlie's one that stands out, but personality-wise, I don't know if there's like a lot there. Whereas Ram, I think he's probably the biggest surprise for me because I thought he'd have a lesser role, but he seems to be in the character that's kind of stood up and confronted the kind of aliens that we've seen. And the character development, he seems to have the most out of everyone because he's watched his poor girlfriend get murdered in front of him, got a face full of blood, not just once, but multiple times. And it's just seeing how he's dealing with that fact. He's had his leg chopped off, he's got a robot leg. And it's really cool just seeing how he's dealing with it and he's dealing with having all these aliens and things introduced into his world. I like that. Whereas someone like April, she's had her heart ripped out and sharing it with this other being. And she kind of just takes it in her stride. It doesn't seem to be an effect in her. And I think for that reason, I've kind of distanced myself a little from that character, where I've kind of connected more with Ram because I'm seeing what he's going through. And it's also got his dad in there. So you kind of get a full sense of what's going on with him and you're going on that journey with him. Where the others, they feel like they're not as connected. So I think Ram's awesome. I really like him. I think he's one of my favourite characters alongside Miss Quill.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think one thing Doctor Who was really good at is character development. So I definitely think like people like Charlie, we're going to see him develop throughout the series. But something I really liked because I remember reading the press release and it said that each kid kind of had like a stereotype. So I was kind of thinking, oh God, it's going to be something along the lines of like Mean Girls, where the jock is basically like a jock and things.
Hmm.
And I was quite surprised like how blurred the lines between like the stereotypes were because you have like Ram who was the jock, but then he was kind of like considerate and brave and compassionate and things. There was Tanya who was like the nerd, but I don't know. I think they blurred the lines really well, so it didn't stand out too much. And I think as the series goes on and on, we're going to kind of see. I think kind of see these kids develop into like young adults.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a really good mix, and you've got all them different stereotypes in there, but they're not necessarily stuck in those
Yeah,
stereotypical roles. And I think when they all come together, they mash together really well. And I
yeah.
think that's going to make a really good class of people.
That was very punny.
It was. It's what I do.
The first pun of the series.
First pun of the series.
But I definitely agree. I think I was expecting Ram to be kind of like annoying and things, but as the episode one ended, I felt really sorry for him. And then episode two, and you kind of see him going through that almost PTSD mental breakdown thing. You
Hmm.
feel more compassionate and you see him cry, which is, it's not something you'd really see from a jock in a program. So that was really good to see. And just like his relationship with Tanya, which I really liked. It almost feels like there could be a romance thing there or something, even though she's a few years younger. So I'm kind of interested to see like how that'll part her out.
Yeah, I like that sense. The fact that there is kind of something there, and I think the viewers have kind of picked up on that straight away.
Mm,
And I think that is the good thing about the storytelling. It's been so good that you're kind of already getting that sense, and we're only like 2 episodes in, because she's the one person that sort of knows what he's going through,
yeah,
and she won't directly ask him about something. Whereas she's talking to him, she's being there for him, and it's kind of like he then feels this is someone that I can speak to, and I think that
yeah.
relationship's only going to grow. And I think that's going to be like a really good, strong relationship between the two of them.
Definitely. I kind of found it interesting that at the very start of episode one, they basically say that the only thing they've got to bond over is the colour of the skin and how white people can't identify. But by the end of episode two, they can both identify over death and things they've been through. So that was pretty good. But another relationship that was pretty strong and dominated the first episode was Quill and Charlie, which is possibly my favourite duo. I
Hmm.
know you're not so fussed on Charlie just yet, but for me personally, I thought Quill was brilliant. And I kind of like the dynamic of when Quill's at school, she's kind of like cold and dominant, and Charlie's a bit more out there and he's a bit more expressive and things. Yeah, when they're at home, Charlie's very like cold and sees no emotion. He's very robot like, whereas Quill, she takes that time to like break down and she feels like compassionate for her people and things.
Hmm.
So I really enjoyed that. It was kind of nice to see both sides of both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the reasons, though, why I didn't really connect with Charlie, because he
Mm,
does seem kind of not entirely there in terms of, the I don't know if I would say compassion and things, but his feelings, like, they don't seem to be all out there for the viewers to
yeah.
see. He's kind of like quite cold, as you mentioned. So I
Mm,
think over time that's something that will start to come out. But I do like the dynamic. I think it's a really good dynamic having him and then Miss Quill, who was the leader of the freedom fighters back on the home planet. And I like the whole dynamic of them having her being his bodyguard and the way that they've kind of punished them. It shows like how high up their society was to have,
yeah.
rather than just call for someone to be killed because of what they're doing, actually implanting some kind of bug in the mind to then have them kind of be a slave to the person that they were fighting against. But it kind of makes sense, because if you think then you've got both leaders working together, it's diplomatic and it leads to kind of resolution. Although obviously in this
Yeah.
sense, there isn't going to be much resolution because they're the last two of the species. But I think that's good because it stops them fighting against each other and forces them to work together. And it's a good way to kind of work out your problems. And I think in a society that would actually work.
I also kind of like that neither of them were kind of worse than the other. Like both of them had the faults where is it Rodan? I think you
Hmm.
pronounce it. They seem pretty harsh with their punishments, whereas you've got the Quills who were like they were willing to kill to get what they believed in and things. So either side were equally as bad, and I kind of like that whole dynamic. The dynamic itself kind of reminded me of, it probably sounds pretty strange, but almost like a parent-child relationship,
Yeah.
whereas she's kind of going out there to protect him, but at the end of the day, he's in control kind of thing. I thought that was pretty interesting, and I don't know, I think as the series goes on, I think we're definitely going to see those bonds between them grow yet again.
I think it will. I think that's one of the bonds that we'll see grow to be really strong. At the minute, it kind of feels like she's doing it because she has to do it. It's kind
Yeah.
of the only thing she can do because she's being ordered to do it. So over time, I think it'll become a case where that doesn't necessarily be the case. She's doing it because she wants to save him, because they've become good friends, and I think that relationship's going to grow and become probably the strongest out of all the group.
Definitely, I think it's safe to say for me personally, I thought Quill was the best character that they've introduced so far, to the point where I would have preferred Quill to be in the Christmas Doctor Who episode. I thought she brought like a lot to the table, and she, like you said earlier, she definitely had those like Doctor elements, and she even had like her own monologue, like the Doctor, and she definitely does feel a lot like Capaldi, and just the way she talks and the way she puts things across. She's very alien, but at the same time very intelligent and resourceful, which I really liked.
Yeah, it was a really cool moment seeing her go out there. I think you may have a speech that she had.
Well, she had several speeches, but the main Doctor one that I picked up on was "I am what waits for you. I am war itself," which I had to take a seat back for a second because I thought, is that something the Doctor said? But I don't think it is, but it definitely feels something the Doctor would say, and possibly she'll learn it from him. We don't know how long they were with the Doctor, if it was just a drive-by drop-off thing or if they stayed around for a while. We don't know. So it'll be kind of interesting to see if we get any more stories about the Doctor.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be really cool. Like you say, it kind of reminds us of the oncoming storm speech that the
Yeah.
Doctor had. So it's very similar in that sense.
Well, speaking of characters out this world, we got our first introduction to the Shadowkin, which it sounds like they could come back throughout the series because it's that connection with April. And we also got a look at this dragon and the dragon tattoo. What did you make of those characters?
I really like the aliens on this so far. I've been really impressed. The effects as well, I think, look really good, especially the Shadowkin.
Yeah.
They also remind us a lot, being shadows, of the Vashta Narada from Silence in the Library. So I always loved those as a villain or a monster in the actual series. So I like the kind of throwback to them, even though they're quite different. It puts them across as like a really formidable army as well.
Yeah.
Because when you get the backstory and hear that they've wiped out this entire planet, 3 billion people in one single day, it just makes you think, how could you compete against them? How are you going to battle shadows? Like, they could infect your planet and take you all out in one day, and there'd be nothing that you could actually do. So it seems like a huge uphill battle that Charlie, Miss Quill, and everyone else is going on. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they actually confront and deal with this problem and how they're actually going to solve it. Because they obviously haven't got any tech or anything that they can actually use. And I think that is probably one of the best things about the show, because they don't have the Doctor to rely on all the time.
Yeah.
So you might pop in with his sonic screwdriver now and again, but the majority of the time they're going to have to work this out and resolve things in their own kind of way, in a more earthly way. And I think that's what I really liked about the second episode, where we had the dragon in there, because it all come down to them actually dealing with it. They didn't have the Doctor in there to step in for them. So having Ram step up and kind of be the Doctor in a sense, use his words as weapons and talk to the actual dragon and make it see sense and do the right thing. Because I didn't feel it was a bad sort of alien that was coming through. It felt like it was only doing it because it was in love with its mate and it was trying to keep it alive. So it was only doing what it had to do that. And obviously the coach himself, being filled with dragon blood, feeling powerful, strong, he wanted to use it for his own means, for his own gain, and he kind of used it. So I don't think the dragons themselves were in the wrong. Yes, they were in the wrong. They did technically kill people. So
Yeah, they just skin people alive. And
maybe
like,
that's a little stupid comment, but I don't think they did it, out of evil. I think they done it as necessity to survive. So it was cool that Ram standing up to it, giving it all them words, showing it how it is. It then decided to do the right thing and actually take out the coach instead. What did you make of them?
See, this is another reason like why I was worried when it was going to BBC Three. I thought, oh my god, we're going to get kind of like comical villains and things, but I was totally surprised. I thought that Shadowkin would definitely. I think they might be like the Daleks of class. I think we're going to see them pop up now and again, and because of the work in the shadows and things, I definitely think they're formidable. Like you said, it kind of reminds of the Vashna Rad, but I think they also looked at little like the monsters from Pyrovillia. The name slips me. I can't remember what they were. So it'd be kind of interesting to see a bit more of their origin. And it was kind of good to see that the whole point of why they were killing everyone was because they didn't want that box to be in the hands of anyone else and being able to wipe out an entire species. I thought that was kind of good. It kind of felt like there was a cause for all the killing, and there might not have been so bad after all. Obviously, they murdered, I think, was it 3 billion or something people?
Yeah.
Which is still really bad, but at
it's
the
a
same
little bad.
time, they were only doing that in fear of the box ever being used against them or anything, which I really liked.
Yeah. It was a good sense to it. Like I say, I think the lines of good and bad
Yeah.
in Doctor Who itself, they're usually quite straightforward. But I like the fact that in this, it's kind of questionable. So you're kind of questioning the motives of people. Who is good? Who is bad? Is Miss Quill even good? Is she bad? Because she technically killed that student by having him use the gun and kill himself as one of the Shadowkin.
Well, that's what I liked as well. And even not that thing about do they now go around killing people? Is that acceptable? It makes you think, are they going to become like Batman and decide from like going forward that they're not going to kill aliens? Or I kind of like that because in Doctor Who, everyone gets like a second chance, whereas in this, they kind of didn't give him that chance. It was kill or be killed, which is something you really don't see. But I also like when you said earlier on that Ram had his moment like the Doctor, and I thought the previous episode April kind of took on that role saying she'd sacrifice herself to save everyone else. I thought that was a good thing, so
Yeah.
I think maybe that's another thing that throughout the series might change, and I think the next one looks like it's going to be more towards Tanya and the loss of her father. Maybe she'll get that Doctor moment, and I don't know, I'm really excited to see where things develop and see what kind of aliens do come into it. I do want to see the Shadowkin. I think those were the stronger of the two.
Yeah.
But I definitely like the Dragonite. I just think, because there was a lot of things around football, I kind of lost a tiny bit of interest.
You just zoned out.
Yeah, like any time there's something to do with football. But yeah, I think it told a really good story. And like you said, the effects and things for the dragon were brilliant, especially for like an online show. So I was really impressed.
Well, I think that's what took me. The fact that it was online, I thought maybe the budget would be a little smaller.
Yeah.
But when I seen the effects, I was really, really like taken back by them. I thought they were really good, and I've been really impressed with it. Like I say, both monsters so far, I've loved them. I can't wait to see what we get. Next week's looks quite creepy, quite Halloween-like, I guess. Like with these, I don't even know what they are, but we see all the vines come through and kind of take over people and things. It's going to be a weird one, but I'm really looking forward to it based on these first 2 episodes and what we've got. I think going forward, it's going to be great. We're going to see lots of new enemies come through, and I think that's the best thing. It's a new show. We're going to get new enemies. It's not going to be the same ones. We're not going to get Daleks, Cybermen popping up every single week, and it just feels fresh, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
But speaking of things familiar, what did you make of the Doctor's cameo in it? Did you think it was too much, or did you think it was the right amount? What were like your thoughts on it?
To be honest with you, I'm a little bit mixed on it. I think it was something that had to be done, set up the story and bring them together as a group. And it kind of sets the way that they're going with them having to work together now. And he's kind of brought them together. But at the same time, it felt a little cheap having all that happen. And then the Doctor come in to save the day, which I guess is what the Doctor does in general. But I just kind of hope that they keep any appearances from him until later on in the series, maybe like the finale, if they do need like some kind of help then. But I hope that they just use them sparsely as opposed to like having them called in like every time things get a little too much out of hand, because I want to see how the class actually deal with things.
See, I'd kind of go on the opposite, and I kind of think that the students had it covered. Like Tanya said, well, come on then, do you want to come along? Which is usually something the Doctor would say, and it was even like Tanya who turned the lights on, and he kind of felt more like one of them as opposed to like the superior being. That's what I found personally.
Yeah. He wasn't like over the top. Like it was like Tanya's idea for the light bulb and things. So I like that. I think that's what they've done right. They didn't leave it all down to the Doctor, and it was them others also getting involved.
Definitely, because like in the past, like when the Doctor's crossed over to like a different show, he's almost kind of been the savior, whereas in this, he was kind of like a mentor or something, someone that guided them a little bit more than they needed or something, which I really liked because I was kind of worried that the Doctor would come in the first episode and then we'd kind of feel the effects of him not being in the next one, whereas because it was done so well, he wasn't in it constantly. He just showed up to save Quill and Charlie and then give them a new purpose. That's basically all he did. And I don't know, I felt that the kids had it covered and he was just there for the ride, I guess.
Yeah, I like that. It's exactly what you said. It was the right amount. And it's not like you're going to tune in episode 2 or 3 and you'd be like, oh, the Doctor's not in this one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you miss him. I think it's going to be a great show regardless of whether the Doctor pops in or not.
Definitely, I think because if we've seen that like bit of interaction with the kids and the Doctor, I definitely want to see those transition over into like an episode of Doctor Who. I think any of them as the series gone might make like a great companion, even if it's just one episode or a crossover. I'd be interested to see like how that dynamic could work again.
Yeah, I think that'll definitely happen. I think next season on Doctor Who, we will get a kind of crossover where the class people do come into it. Because not only is it good to see them work with them, but it's also kind of good promotion for class itself. And it brings it to like people that might be just watching Doctor Who and not really aware of the spin-offs. So I think that'll definitely happen. And it's something that I'm really looking forward to.
Definitely. And I think for me as well, something I realised when the Doctor turned up was how much Quill really is like the Doctor. She kind of reminded me of when David Tennant played the Doctor and he was born like in the pits of a war and things, and he's very vengeful but he wants to do the right thing. That was a lot like Quill, and I could definitely see the similarities, and it was kind of good that like when the Meta Crisis Doctor, I nearly forgot that, when he leaves the other Doctor with Rose, it kind of felt like he leaves Quill with a student so they can make her better.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Well, aside from the Doctor, we also had a few mentions of former companions, including Clara, Danny Pink, and some classic characters. First and foremost, what did you make of the Clara moments?
I thought it was really cool. It was a cool little nod to Clara and the fact that she's not there anymore, just acknowledging her. We also had like Danny Pink in there as well, and Susan Foreman. So it was cool to have those names pop up, and I think it was nice and subtle. It wasn't like over the top. And I really liked it. It was a good addition.
See, like, I'm really torn. I thought it was quite nice how subtle it was, but I think I kind of wanted more stamp of approval, like what happened to Clara after she died, because we know she goes on to die. I won't go into it too much because it is about Clara and things, but I don't know, I think I wanted like a memorial wall of her death or something, just to say that she did die or she left the school. I don't know, I kind of wanted a little bit more, but it was a nice touch regardless.
Yeah, it was a cool like little addition. I think we will probably hear at some point in the Doctor Who universe a little more about what happened to Clara, if it was a disappearance or whatever. But I think this being the first episode, it wasn't the right time to go into the Clara stuff. This was more about class in the future as opposed to the past.
Would you be opposed to Clara turning up at some point to kind of like oversee the new students of Coal Hill or anything?
I would really like that. I think it'd be really cool to have Clara drop in. And what we mentioned on Tardis Talk last season about how Doctor-like Clara was. So you don't even need to have the Doctor pop in. You can always have Clara just popping in, hand in a resignation and, help the kids out while she's there.
I think that's a brilliant thing about the Doctor Who universe, that there's so many characters split throughout time and space and things that literally anyone could pop in. Maybe, I highly doubt it, but maybe River Song can turn up for like a PE lesson or something, or
Absolutely.
Captain Jack. But I definitely want to see like how Clara and Quill might react, especially because Quill is so Capaldi. Like, I'd kind of like to see that.
I would like to see the two of them face off. I think that would be quite good to watch.
So that was just like one of the Easter eggs. I know you've been doing a little bit of searching. What are the Easter eggs you have for people?
Well, there was a few little things in there. We had the old woman in the shop that mentioned her husband had been fiddling on the stairs. That was actually Tom Baker's costume designer from back in the day. So she'd gone full circle from costume designer to actually being on the show. So that was a cool little nod to her. We had the Barbara Wright building actually at the school now. It's got its own wing. And Ian Chesterton, we actually know from, I think it was the 50th anniversary episode, him and Barbara are actually on the governors of the school, which we got to mention to the governors when Miss Quill actually took apart the bits of the robot. And we're seeing that was from the governors.
Do you think that's going to be like the new villain, or do you think it's going to be Ian and Barbara's like way of like checking in on them and seeing if everything's going all right?
I think the latter could be actually quite cool, because I think everyone's going to expect it to be some kind of villain reveal.
Yeah.
Like the over villain, I guess, in this series. But knowing that they're on the board of governors, I think it'd be cool if they kind of had them robots in place just to kind of see what was going on in the school, make sure everything was right, and then it sends the information back to them. So I would be quite up for that. But I think if I was to go with me gut feel, I would probably say it's going to be some kind of villain that's kind of getting the information on Miss Quill and Charlie.
To me, like, when I first saw it, for all like he didn't do anything too evil, he was just writing things down in the book. It kind of reminded me a lot of the Whispermen and the Great Intelligence from, I think it was series 7 of Doctor Who. It kind of had that feeling, but at the same time, I think now I think about it, I'd much prefer it to be something to do with Ian and Barbara just always defending the kids and kind of like having that huge stamp from Doctor Who history on class.
Absolutely. I think that's what would make it really cool, so that we get a throwback to like classic Doctor Who, and it shows that even though we haven't heard from them for a long time, they're still there and they're still looking out for Coal Hill.
I definitely think it'd be like a wonderful moment.
It'd be awesome.
So that was our initial thoughts on the opening episodes of Class. What do you at home make of the next generation of Coal Hill students, and who is your favourite character? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and tweet us at Tardis_Talk with your favourite moments, and we'll leave you with our quote of the week. And until next time.
Leave us! We are decorating!